What's good, everybody? In this video, we're doing a 6-minute slope review on how to determine if a point falls in a line, how to determine the equation for parallel lines, and how to determine the equation for perpendicular lines. Let's jump into today's video. So there are many situations in pre-algebra and algebra 1 where they give us an equation and they give us a ordered pair and they say, hey, does this point fall on the line? Well, guys, when they give us a point, just remember that this is an X and a Y coordinate. And for us to solve, we are going to practice the method of substituting. So here, it tells me that Y is -1. So I have -1 is equal to -3 times X, which is 3, plus 2. So -1 is equal to -9 plus 2. -1 is equal to -7. So no, that is not a true statement. And because it's not a true statement, it does not fall on this line. Now let's go to point 2. Same exact process. So now y is equal to -7. So -7 is equal to -3 times our x, which is still 3, plus 2. So we simplify to get -7 is equal to -9 plus 2. -7 is equal to -7. So this point 3, -7 would fall on this equation line. So if they ask you that question, plug in the x, plug in the y, simplify. If both sides are equal, it falls in a line. If not, it doesn't. And we're going to move on to the second part and talk about parallel and perpendicular lines. In the second part of this video, guys, we're now focusing on perpendicular and parallel lines. But before we get there, let's talk about the point slope formula. So we use this formula anytime we have an equation and they give us 1 point. And typically y1, m, and x1 are always going to be changing. This y and this x with no number next to it, they're standard. They're always going to be the same. And I'm going to show you through these two examples what I mean. Okay, but we use that formula, and when we go over here, right, we're focusing on perpendicular lines first. So perpendicular lines are going to have negative reciprocal slopes. What does that mean? That means if my slope is +5, its negative reciprocal is -1/5. So we take the reciprocal, meaning if it's a whole number, we turn it into a fraction. If it's a fraction, we turn it into a whole number. And then the negative part is, hey, positive turns to negative, negative turns to positive. So now let's focus on this problem. The first thing we have to know is if we're writing the equation for a perpendicular line and our slope is +1/3, it's going to be negative, and now it's going to be a whole number. So when you're doing perpendicular lines, whether it's multiple choice or a free question like this, short response, you have to do that change on your own or else you're going to get the problem wrong, even if you substitute correctly. So now let's focus on the point. Y stays the same. Minus what is y1? 4. So y minus 4 is equal to what? M. This was the original m, but if we're writing the slope for a perpendicular line, we have to use the negative reciprocal. So now we use -3. Inside parentheses, this x stays the same. Second x, we substitute. What is our x? It's 2. Now at this step, we just simplify. Y minus 4 is equal to -3x plus 6. Now I add 4 on both sides to get that y by itself. And the equation for a perpendicular line to this equation passing through this point is going to be y is equal to -3x plus 10. And if you want to double check that you have the negative reciprocal slope, just multiply the original slope and the negative reciprocal. If you get -1, that means you got the correct slope. So what do I mean? Right? And let's just go to blue so this sticks out. I just love the color schemes, all right? So we have +1/3. We'll multiply this by -3. I'm just gonna put this over 1 so we know we're multiplying straight across. We get -3 over +3, which is equal to -1. Now, before we wrap this video up, this is the perpendicular aspect. Now let's go over the parallel. And the parallel is going to be very interesting, guys, because they did something a lot different compared to this first problem. So let's write it down, right? We have our point slope formula, and I want you guys to know, if you don't remember this, don't feel bad. Please don't feel bad. I learned this about several years ago when I started teaching math. When I was a student, could never remember it to save my life. All right, let's get back to this. So in the second one, this is what they do. So they give us the point, right? They say the point is going to be +1, -3. And then they give us the equation y plus 2 is equal to 4 times x minus 1. Let's double check that I write all the correct information because you guys know Peter's just, I be messing up sometimes, and I'm sorry. All right, so we got everything correct. So we can't worry about the point. We first have to figure out what is the actual equation. So we need to simplify. So I will have y plus 2 is equal to 4x minus 4. We're going to bring 2 to the other side by subtracting, right? Cancels out there. Subtract it over here. We have y is equal to 4x minus 6. Now that we have simplified this equation, now we could plug this point into the equation to figure out what is the equation for the parallel line. So let's do that now. So now we're going to use the point slope formula. Y minus y1. What is y1? -3. Let's put that -3 in parentheses. But we got a double negative. You guys know what happens with that double negative. Okay, I'm not going to say nothing. We're going to get to it. Then we have 4 times x minus, what was that other one again? Oh, so it should be 1, right? -1. Yeah, let's double check. Let's make sure. Yep, it's 1. So now we know we subtract a negative number turns positive. So we have y plus 3 is equal to 4x minus 4. Now I combine my equation, not equations, I'm sorry, constants. And the equation should be y is equal to 4x minus 7. Now with parallel slopes, the slopes are going to be the same. And if you look at the original equation, in the second equation, they have the same exact slope. Hope this review was quick, helpful for you guys on determining if a point falls in a line and how to find perpendicular slopes and parallel slopes in the equations. Thank you guys so much for joining us today on Algebra 1 with Mr. Peters. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave questions for future videos you guys would like to see on our channel. Thank you guys so much for joining.